Good afternoon. This is Paul Hoyt, CEO of Ascending Harvest, coming to you with our daily update on the project to grow, the project rather to feed the world in a way that it's never been fed before. Ascending Harvest is a company that is passionate about ending world hunger through revolutionary technology. We're going to talk to you a lot about that here in just a few minutes. But let me introduce my best buddy, business partner, and resident inventor genius with Ascending Harvest, Shane McKenna, who's going to be doing a lot of the talking today. You'll be happy to hear. Shane, good afternoon. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing so good, and I hope that you can still see me because my screen went blank. So hopefully I am still showing up here, but I'm doing good, and I'm assuming that you can see and hear me.
I certainly can, and I trust that other people can, and I'm kind of watching the live stream on Facebook out of the corner of my eye, so it hasn't blipped off yet. So we're going to assume that you're still with us, and we're going to just pretend that we're not having any technology challenges.
Well, that would be nice if we could have a day that we didn't have technology challenges of some kind here.
Hey, but we can always pretend.
Yes.
Hey, thanks to all of you who have contributed to the Ascending Harvest Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. We extended it 30 days, so we're going to end now on November the 17th. We're about 40% of goal. We've had a lot of wonderful people, 135 backers, I think the last time I checked. So there's a lot of people out there who've given $1, $5, $10, and in some cases, much, much more than that. We've had a couple of people give a couple of $1,000s. So we are most grateful to them. We're grateful to anybody who chips in. If you've listened to us the last few days or taken a look at our emails, you'll know that we have a triple match program going on so that every dollar that you contribute is going to be matched by a generous benefactor 3 to 1. You put in $1, he puts in $3. You put in $5, he puts in 15, and so far. So whatever amount you put gets multiplied by 4 to really help this project go. Our crowdfunding goal is $27,500. We are committed to making that happen. And now with your dollars, we're absolutely going to make that happen. So put in $1, put in 5, put in 10. If you've contributed before, contribute again, share on social media. Let's let the whole world know about this project to end world hunger. I'm going to ask Shane an oddball question here. Because Shane had the privilege of being interviewed on the radio yesterday, and I want him to talk a little bit about that experience before we talk a little bit more about Ascending Harvest. Shane, let me know, and we'll let the rest of the people know at the same time what that was like to be interviewed on the radio, and who was it, and how did it all come down and that stuff.
It was a fantastic experience. So it is the Radioactive Show. It's a local show here in Salt Lake City, and it's on public radio 90.9 FM. The program was basically getting to know who Ascending Harvest is, and a little bit about me and a little bit about the company and what we're doing. And they have asked me to come back because they want to track our progress. We are very much in alignment of the missions that they like to showcase on their program. And hunger and poverty is among the top of their list of the things that they like to talk about and interview people who are taking action to help resolve those issues. So it was a huge honor to get to be asked to be on that program with Laura Jones and Tania.
Very
Tania
cool.
Stevens, not Stevenson. I can't remember her last name, so I'm not going to butcher it here.
Good. And there's a recording of that posted on Facebook, right? So people can take a look at that if they want to listen to it.
Yeah, I extracted my portion of the show. It's an hour-long program, and my portion was about 9 minutes. And so I extracted that audio out and posted it on my Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you're connected to me on social media, I think we're probably also going to post it on our website too.
Yeah, very cool. And if you're not connected to Shane on social media, you should be, because he posts a lot of very, very interesting things, and he's quite gifted at social media. On the other hand, I am not. So if you're going to follow somebody, follow Shane, that's for sure.
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm gifted. I just enjoy connecting with people. So, I spend some time on there and connecting with people. It's one of the things I love to do.
And I want to give a shout out to Abraham Tinklepaw on our team, who's been managing our public relations and helped arrange this interview. Thanks so much, Abraham. We appreciate it. If you would like for Shane to be interviewed on your radio show, or you know anybody who you think might resonate with this project who has a radio show, either terrestrial radio like Shane was on yesterday or internet radio, by all means get in touch with us, because we'd love to be on those shows and broadcast our name and the nature of this project out, whenever and wherever we possibly can. And today, by the way, we're going to talk just about that. We're going to talk about the what and the why of the project. It's kind of a repeat from a Zoomcast that we did very, very early on, but that was like 45 days ago. So a lot has happened, and we clarified a lot of our mission statements and purpose and that sort of thing. So we're just going to start out and talk about what we are doing here with Ascending Harvest, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the why. So Shane, you're fresh off of the interview prep. What are you doing? Tell me about Ascending Harvest and the mission and the purpose and the products and services that we provide.
So Ascending Harvest is a technology company, and our technology is an empowering tool that helps people who, for many circumstances that they find themselves in, we give them the ability to grow their own food. And some of the things that people might find themselves in that they're not growing their own food and they're going hungry is maybe they don't come from a farming culture. Maybe they don't know how to grow their own food. We solve that problem. Maybe they don't have land. We solve that problem. Maybe they don't have access to water. Maybe they live in a very arid climate, or, as we've discovered in our research and talking to different people, maybe they live in a very wet climate and they need to control the water for certain crops. We solve those problems as well. Our technology is pretty much capable of empowering anybody, anywhere, to grow their own food. And because it's human-powered, it requires no electricity or other fuel. It just requires 3 simple steps to operate the system. That is, make sure that it has water, pump it full of air, it runs off of air, that's its power source, and put organic materials in the system once a week. And our system has a built-in biodigestion component to it, where there's several different zones that favor different types of bacteria that break down plant material into bioavailable nutrients. And so that's how we feed the user's plants, is by them just simply adding locally gathered organic material. So the beauty of this is this system can be used almost anywhere. It can be used on a rooftop. It can be used on a balcony. It can be used where in a refugee camp, outside a tent, where they don't have access to a place to garden. It can be used anywhere where the sun shines, and all of the needs of the plants, the intelligence to nurture and grow those plants and create vibrant, healthy produce is all built into the system, so that the user just needs to follow the system, and they will grow their own food.
I love it. It's not quite as simple as flipping a switch, but it's really close to it.
It really is. It really is. And that's, I hesitate to say the genius of the system, because it's my invention, and that sounds a little bit egotistical. But really, the genius of the system is that it's so easy to use, and that if you follow the steps, you're going to grow food. It's just like when you pick up your phone to make a phone call, you don't have to understand the software inside this phone to make the call. You just follow the simple steps. Our technology is the same way. The intelligence is built into the technology, and we have replaced mechanical science and engineering with material science. And those materials are designed and engineered and structured in such a way that they deliver the exact amount of water, nutrients, and mineral and air to the roots of the plant so that that plant can thrive and produce the best possible food for that user.
That's awesome. So let me see if I can summarize that up. You've invented, after I'm just only a week or two worth of work, no, I know that's not true, because I know you would have been after it for like 30 years, right? So after 30 years of understanding how plants grow and the function of soil and sunshine and water and all the mistakes and challenges that farmers have, you invented this very simple system. Right now, the target price is between $40 and $50 for this system that will allow anyone, anywhere to grow their own food, and will deliver, from $200 to $300 worth of food over its lifetime, which is a minimum of 3 years, but could be 5, 10, 20 years, depending upon how exposed the system is to the elements. Is that about right?
Yeah, that sums it up. We have got, I won't say it's foolproof because you're dealing with Mother Nature. There's always things that can go wrong when you're dealing with Mother Nature and growing plants. You could have seeds that aren't viable, and there's a bunch of other things that can go wrong. But it is as close to a turnkey technology that supplies the nutrients and the water supply to the plants in a way that the user doesn't have to understand how that works.
Well, one of the interesting things about hydroponics that I learned early on when we started working together, gosh, almost 2 years ago now, was that hydroponics uses a lot less water than do traditional gardening or farming systems, like 90 to 95% less water. So talk to us a little bit about why that is and how come that's so darned important.
Well, the primary reason that hydroponics uses less water is because hydroponic systems, by their very nature, are self-contained. The water is contained. It doesn't percolate down into the ground and get lost to the groundwater. And also, in many systems, there's not a lot of the water that's exposed to the atmosphere, so there's less evaporation as well. So hydroponics uses very little water. Our technology uses even less than the other hydroponic technologies because in our technology, very, very little, less water than any other system is ever exposed to the atmosphere. Our system is, the water is completely contained, and the water that ends up being fed to the roots of the plant is fed from the bottom up, and so very little water makes it to the surface. And so our technology uses less water than any other farming technology that I've ever worked with. And I've been working with farming technology my whole life, having grown up on a farm and ranch and working at those systems from a young child, helping in the garden, helping in the fields.
Wow. So that's what we are doing, and I hope that's clear to everybody that's listening about what we are doing. We created a very simple produce growing system, human-powered hydroponics that doesn't require any electricity, requires extremely little water, just have a little bit of organic materials and some sunshine and air, and presto, you're a farmer. You can grow your own food and grow a lot of it depending on how many systems that you have. Why are we doing? Go ahead.
I wanted to follow up on something that you just said.
Yep.
Yes, the system is very simple to use, but the technology inside is very sophisticated and has taken a very long time to arrive at because it is literally something completely new. The way that we are doing this is we are doing this in a completely new way. And it's so new and revolutionary that we have applied for 6 utility patents on the technology in this one system.
Wow, that's awesome. So why are we doing this, Shane? Why why not take your genius and the technology that you've created and go after balcony gardening here in the United States, or indoor gardening with your intelligent grow media and LEDs? Why invest in human powered hydroponics that are focused on being delivered to people around the world who really can't afford to pay a lot of money for their systems?
I really love that question. And the reason I love that question is because we're a little bit out of the box. But the one thing that you look at when you have a new technology, when you've got a new technology, is where is the highest intrinsic value of this technology? Now, this is the very first time that there has been a human-powered hydroponic system that does not require a continuous flow of water and uses very little water. So where is the highest intrinsic value? Not necessarily the highest monetary value, but the intrinsic value is those people who have very little water and those people who have no electricity or other infrastructure. So this product makes the most sense in refugee camps and in third world developing communities that are essentially off the grid, that have either unreliable resources or no infrastructure at all. And so the intrinsic value of human-powered hydroponics is the third world. And while a lot of the other technology can be applied to these consumer and commercial products, and that's coming, we have an opportunity to be a practical solution to hunger. And that need is so massive and so great. And there's so many people. I mean, there's 1 billion people who make less than $700 a year. We were talking a few weeks ago about a gentleman from an area in Africa where 67% of the country makes less than $1.25 a day. That's about $500 a year. There is a desperate need for this technology, and that is the mission that I wanted to complete 31 years ago. And now that that technology is in our grasp, why not take it first to those who need it most? I mean, what rule is there that we have to chase the highest consumer dollar first? Let's give a break to people who actually really need this technology to lift themselves up out of poverty. Let's do that. Let's take on that mission.
I love that. And we're not obligated to investors or anybody else who has an interest in our company to give them the greatest return on the investment. We are a social enterprise, a humanitarian venture, focused on answering the question, how can we help people the most? Some companies, ask the question, how can I make the most money, the most profits? Other ones might say, how can I give the biggest return to my investors? And public companies are almost obligated to ask that question and drive the company towards giving their shareholders the greatest return on their investment. Some companies say, how can I employ the most people? Because they really need to employ their families, or their community is out of work and they're really looking to create a business that will employ a lot of people. And we've asked the question to ourselves is, how can we help the most people? How can we help the people who need it the most by delivering the most systems that we possibly can at the lowest cost possible, so that we can make a huge dent and a huge ding, in the universe, as Steve Jobs was saying, when it comes to feeding the world. Now, feeding the world and ending world hunger is a bit of a stretch thing to say, but if we had 1 billion of these systems in place, which I suspect would cost $25 billion or so, That would be a system for everybody who goes to bed hungry every night. And I think we could go a very, very long way towards ending world hunger. And $25 billion, that seems like a lot of money, but, it's really not in this grand scheme of things. United Nations, Germany, France, United Kingdom, United States, other developed countries could come up with $25 billion pretty quickly. So what we are focused on doing is proving the concept so that those people who can write the really big checks feel very comfortable doing that, knowing that their money will be very well invested in ending world hunger. I think that's the why.
Yeah, and I want to say, we have proven that the technology works. I've been prototyping with it the last 4 years, and last year I invented the human-powered component of the technology, and we proved that this summer. We proved it by third-party testing. So we do have a system that functions. We know it grows food. It's going to have to be fine-tuned for sub-Saharan Africa and for Chile and Mexico and even here in the U.S. and in areas where there's a need for people to be able to grow their own food here in the U.S. It's going to have to be tested in these different environments and fine-tuned, but that's not a long-term project to get that testing done. It's really only a season for us to learn what we need to learn in these different regions, and then we can start distributing to these regions in mass with thousands of systems directly to people who need it most, and pairing with those charities that are already working in those countries and those communities. And we can get these systems out there and working for people because they are so simple to set up and use. People will have immediate results, first-year results. And I don't know if you've ever come from a position of never growing anything and you've tried to grow your first garden and you failed. You had a lot of things that died. And that's after having access to quality starts and quality soil amendments and all the things that you can get at Home Depot and your local garden center, and you still struggle as a first-time gardener. Our users don't have that struggle simply because the system has the intelligence and everything that plant needs and provides everything that plant needs so that they don't have to go through that painful learning curve because they don't have those same resources available to them. And so we have an opportunity to be a substantial solution to hunger, maybe even be a primary solution to much of the world's hunger.
That's what I'm looking forward to, because there are people out there who need it, and we have an opportunity to do that. One of my favorite quotes comes from, of all sources, Spider-Man, where Spider-Man's uncle says to him, with great power comes great responsibility. In our particular case here in the United States, I think it is with great abundance comes great responsibility. We have, I believe, a moral obligation, and if you don't believe in that, you can certainly talk about the tremendous opportunity to help those who need it the most. And this is a way that we are committed to doing it here at Ascending Harvest by giving them the systems that they need so they can grow their own food and escape the cycle of poor nutrition and poverty. And we'll lift the whole world up. When we lift the whole world up, we essentially lift ourselves up as well, because a rising tide lifts all boats. So I'm very excited about that.
Yes, please go back and listen to yesterday's Zoomcast. And there's some really great stories, and there's one story in particular that's very poignant that puts an exclamation point on what you just said, Paul.
Awesome. Well, we love to wrap up the Zoomcast that we do almost every day by giving away a human-powered hydroponic system. So if you go to ascendingharvest.com and give us your email address and your name, or you click on the little green button that's there and go to our Indiegogo campaign and contribute $1 or $5 or $10 or $40 or $1,600, you'll be entered into a prize drawing, Every day we give away a human-powered hydroponic system from those people who have given us their email addresses. And I pull them off and I make a big list out of them, and Shane gives me a number between 1 and 10,000, and we find out who today's winner is. So Shane, what's today's number?
Wow.
Wow.
9,898. 9898.
9898. Well, that's going to be pretty easy to find here, because I'm guessing it's the last one on my list. You know, 9898. It wasn't the last one on my list. It was the next one, next to last one on my list. And the winner is a gentleman named Peter Kuo, K-U-O. It's a guy that I know here in Santa Clara, California, and in Sunnyvale, California. He is really quite a mover and shaker in this environment. So I'm very glad that he got an opportunity to get his own system. Congratulations, Peter. You're the winner today of a human-powered hydroponic system. We'll give it to you when we get out of mass manufacturing, now anticipated in about 6 months. And at that time, you can either get your own system, or you'll have the opportunity to donate it to a family in need in your name. So congratulations, Peter. And for the rest of you, we'd love to have the chance to give you one of these systems too. Just go to ascendingharvest.com, sign up for our list, but better yet, click on the green button that's there and go to Indiegogo and contribute to our ongoing Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign and help us reach our goals so that we can go to Washington, D.C. and present this opportunity to various governmental agencies and other NGOs, non-government organizations, who are interested in ending poverty and feeding people in developing countries. We know that they're going to love it, and we're very excited to have the opportunity to present it to them. I think that's it for me. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat log of the Zoomcast or as a comment on our live stream post. We're more than happy to interact with you and answer your questions, and who knows, we might just answer your question in a very big way on a future Zoomcast. We would love to have the opportunity to do that. I think that's about all for me today. Shane, you want to take us out and say goodbye to the folks?
Thank you, everybody who tuned in today. We really enjoy bringing you these Zoomcasts, and we appreciate all of you who have participated in our campaign and kicked us a buck. Please remember, we have that 3 times matching. So when you kick us a buck, it's actually $4 into our campaign. And that dollar represents about 40 pounds or more food for a family. So I don't know, that's about 2.5 cents a pound. I don't know where you get that kind of value anywhere else. So thank you so much for helping to create that value for somebody who needs it the most. Have an awesome day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.